welcome, and this is the Grassroots Education and Entertainment Network, your number one source of information, education, and entertainment. For honest, responsible, and dependable information, we stand supreme. To stay focused, inspired, and relaxed, choose green. Ekabo and welcome to the traditional herbal health discussion. And today I'm going to read an essay Ifa from Oturupon Oyeku. The essay Ifa reads, Orunmila and all of the Orisha had went to war. The war was very brutal, and rumors were coming back on the conditions of the Orishas, so far as death and the likes. Orunmila's son, Amosulaka, collapsed upon hearing bad news about his father. Osuenleo, Orunmila's wife, was very worried and did not know what to do. She went to go see Abosiri Tibudu, who was a herbalist who claimed Orunmila would never return home. She was even more worried and went to see Abopeti Bea, who said the same thing. However, they would say this because they both had been trying to figure out how to get Orunmila out of their way, as he was a threat to their business. On the way back home, crying and weeping, she met Eshu Odara, who told her to go to Opele and Encore so she can find out the situation of her husband. When she threw the Opele, it stated that Orunmila was already on his way back home. She was advised to offer Herbal. All right, I share that is the reading of the Odu for today's show. And I would now introduce to you the host of the show, Coach Ianti, PhD. Ekabo, Coach Ianti.
Herbal, peace and love, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back on this Herbal Health Show. I hope everyone had a pleasant week and that everybody had a pleasant first month of 2022. Because, when we come on a Sunday, we are here to speak about health and we are here to speak about different ways of feeling better, having a better mood, better life, greater longevity, greater performance. So, I truly hope that those discussions that we have weekly, are just a plus to help us to make better choices in that sense. Okay, so the topic of this afternoon is overindulgence and why we should break free from food addiction. We often think about addiction in terms of substances like marijuana, just to call one. We may think about it like cocaine. We may think about substances that are associated to drugs. We do think about sugar as an addiction as well because it is heavily advertised as such nowadays. But we don't also realize that food can be an addiction. How often have you met people who told you that, I'm addicted to food? That's a question for you, Papa.
Well, there are quite a lot of people that I know who are addicted to overindulgence.
Can do they know? We would know, we would meet someone who we can assess is addicted to food or overindulgent. But how many people on their own will come to you and openly declare, I'm addicted to food?
I haven't had many of those, but I've had people who have been overweight and as a result of which they would say, they would like to lose weight and blah blah blah. But
Some
when it comes to the diet, they're trying to do everything to avoid changing their eating patterns.
exactly, because especially in the Caribbean, we are not fat. We are a little heavy. We are plump. We are thick. It runs in my gene. I have big bones. Everything except admitting the fact that we are overindulgent. And it's a real problem to assess because listen, our food tastes good. We have good food. Um, I can remember, I think it was last year. Last year, one of my uncle is a January born, and I had not eaten chicken wings in, I can't remember how long I had not eaten chicken wings. And when the tray of roasted chicken wings passed, I was like, number one, they passed me straight to the tray because they know I don't really eat any chicken, furthermore, chicken wings. But when I smelled it, I was like, can I have a few wings? And everybody was shocked. Our food tastes good, and our tradition, we have this way of seasoning the food, and that even if sometimes we don't want to eat in a certain way, just the willpower of resisting make things very complicated. However, overindulgence, it means that not to force yourself to have the discipline when it comes to food would have not only an impact on our health but also in our performance, our way of thinking, our vitality, etc., etc. And especially what I have in my mind is longevity, because if we keep on eating bad or eating what's bad for us year upon year upon year upon year, what happens? Have you ever wondered how much food do we eat, in one day in terms of pounds or kilos, and how
No,
much that could be, you know, um, over a week? Because sometimes when we take the time to realize how much pounds of food we eat within one day, plus water, plus, the occasional beer, the occasional soft drink, etc., and tell yourself that all of this is transiting through your body in one day, and that tomorrow you're going back and eat almost the same, etc., etc., and you do not give your body a break at any given time. So this is what we are going to discuss, and to understand that we can still eat all what's around us, but we need to have discipline in knowing how often, when, and also to highlight what we should definitely like put set aside, because sometimes it's very difficult to stay away from it completely, but at least if we have it occasionally, it would not be as damaging to the health and to the overall vitality. All
well,
right,
I
so
think that sort of remind me of last week's topic where we spoke about the Eat to Live book by Elijah Muhammad, where they advocate one main meal per day.
well,
That's
definitely we're gonna speak again, about how often we should eat. No longer than yesterday, a friend sent me a video, and I was listening to an Hindu scholar who was saying that it does not really advocate a particular type of diet, but what it tells people is that they should try their best to eat during daylight. So if the sun rises in your country for 7, try to not eat before 7. If the sun is up before by 4 o'clock in the morning, well, you go ahead by 4 o'clock. But in as much, if the sun set by 7 p.m., his recommendation, for example, was that you should try your best to stop eating after sunset, because we are like trees, we are like plants. There is this old say, at least in the Caribbean, where they say you should not go and pluck the bush at night or the fruits at night. And then we would have the grandmother saying, you must wake up the tree, shake the tree before you pluck anything. Have you ever heard that?
yes, yes, I
Okay, that's
have.
another. So in as much, the thought behind that is that at night the plant is resting. During the day, the tree is, active. There's the whole biochemical process going on. So plucking from the tree is not necessarily disturbing the tree because the tree is active. Whereas at night, when there's no longer any sun, the tree is at rest, and therefore, plucking and disturbing the plant during that pattern um, over time is going to weaken the tree. So you would find sometimes that when we do not respect that, especially in a garden, for example, out of the blue, the tree died. So, like for example, you won't have any more tomatoes or your lemongrass is not growing anymore. But often this happens because we didn't handle that tree properly. Okay, and so I use that example to compare us. If we spend all this time eating and we eat at any given time of the day and night, when does your body get a chance to rest? Yeah. So constantly eating, it retards digestion because it means that you are always digesting. Your body is always busy. We are going to watch a video in a little while to speak about the digestion so that you could have a visual to see really what's going on within, but especially how long does the food remain in process in your body. So some people feel, okay, well, I ate 3 hours ago, I can go again. But if you ate 3 hours ago, is your digestion complete? Because if you just finish digesting something and you're going back to eat again, it's your digestive system didn't get any break at all. And
This
so
is
think
very
about
true.
it exactly. So think about it, for example, that you ate your breakfast, you barely finished eating your breakfast, and then you're snacking. Snack is food. Your body have to break it down and digest it. And
Correct?
then it's lunch time, and because you have your lunch time at a particular time, even if you're not hungry, man, you're gonna eat your food because when you go back on your shift, you're not gonna have any time to sit and enjoy. But are you hungry? Is your body ready? Or best, is your body sufficiently um does your body have sufficient energy to break it down again if you didn't get any rest at all right? This creates a confusion between the brain and the stomach. All right. So, like, if on top of it we eat unhealthy food, imagine somebody says that the video is ticking. Let me look at this. Hold on. I'm gonna try to work on the sound. My sound is at maximum. Can you hear me, Baba?
I can hear you, but you're a little bit low.
Okay. Let me try to get rid of the ear. Is it better that way?
Yeah, I'm hearing you a lot louder now.
Okay. All right. I was trying to avoid background noises. Okay, so if in addition to eating all the time, we also eat unhealthy food. Whatever is unhealthy, it's like a foreign substance in the body. So in addition to working to digest, the body and the different organs in the body need a certain time to identify what's going on because everything is already programmed to know how to break down the food into micronutrient. But if it is something foreign, like for example, you swallow a gum. It's not going to digest. And we may think that it's just one little gum, but understand that this is going to stick to all manners of food in your body. And so when it gets into your stomach, at first the reaction is that, okay, well, it's tomato, it's rice. I know how to digest that. However, when the program is on, it's not processing. Why? Because there's gum in between and gum cannot be digested. So therefore, all of this, is creating a lot of confusion in the body and a lot of delay. So whenever we decide that we want to eat, we should think back about all what we have eaten before and how long ago. Now, before we get into the depth of it, if you are tired and you eat, you have to try your best to eat healthy food. You have to try your best to eat natural food, something that is easy to digest. However, in our tradition, when we are tired, we tend to want to eat a heavy food because we need strength and we feel like the heavier the meal, the stronger we will feel. I'm smiling because I can remember a friend of mine who lives in France now, and her husband used to say that when it was time for special duties, he would say, if you don't feed me, I'm not in it because you're gonna kill me. So she would make sure cook some heavy pot of food, and whenever he would come and meet the table with a lot of food all around, a lot of I don't know how many courses of meal, he would come with a smile because you would know, okay, if I have all that food, it means that, okay, today is duty day or tonight is duty night, etc. But when we think about it, when everything is done, man is dead. Why? Because there are so many food on his stomach, so many programs, to run at the same time, in addition to physical effort and loss of a lot of fluid. It's normal to be there. So at the end of the day, it's like, even if that was their tradition, their way of handling things, that was not the best way for his overall balance. And sometimes we don't think about it that way. Okay, because already everything is so taboo when it comes to certain topic, so we don't want to
Okay.
talk about it. And when we talk about it, we always have to be careful about where there might be children around, so we have to be able to speak it in a way where it is not shocking. But those are the little things that cause us over hundred of years to really become I don't want to say fat, but we become a little more prone. That's the way we say it anyhow. And in the Caribbean, we suffer with a lot of chronic condition like cancer, like diabetes, etc., etc. And so this is because we are not making the best choices, and also because the body is already weak. So what works for somebody who is healthy is not working for you because your body cannot process it.
Okay.
So this causes us now to think about detoxification. So because of this show, I spend a lot of time reading online or watching videos, reading books as well, and speaking to other professional, holistic professional, but also to people who are working in modern medicine, sorry. And you would find that whenever you find a holistic practitioner to give one path or to give one recommendation, you're gonna find five physicians to come and break down and attack everything that was said because science supposedly said that Peter, Paul, Jack, etc., etc. Today, everywhere in the world, science say you must go and get a special jab. And many people everywhere are using their brain and say, it's not gonna work for me. And that's everybody's choice. All right. So it's not
Okay.
because 2 million physicians are going to say science says that it is good for you. So you also have to use your brain, to use your understanding and reflect, is it truly good for me or is it good for everybody else, but not for
But
me, not for my children, because of existing condition, for example, or because of the climate where we live.
yeah, from my own experience in growing up, what I've discovered is there's a lot of differences you're gonna meet in different physicians, different doctors. If you go to an older, more experienced doctor, his opinions on medical issue tends to be somewhat different from a doctor who does not have as much experience. So, I mean,
And
how
why?
do you account for some of these variations you would find among people
Because the way,
practicing?
the way, the way those older doctors were trained is obviously not the way the younger ones are. And now, when you are trained and you are on the field, there's also a huge gap. I'm the first to tell you that you could have like the best grades and come out like top promo of your class and everything, but then once you are on the field and you have to start dealing with people health, is not the same. So you develop your experience with a lot of trial and error. So the older person is going to know, for example, how to adapt or what he has done in his curriculum to the reality of his service. But the younger person probably who had a different experience, something more modern, and then science has evolved. Medicine today is not like medicine 20 years ago. It's going to come with ideas freshly taught, like I'm trying to think in French now. I'm freshly taught ideas that he freshly developed during training, but little experience. So yes, they have practicals and everything, but um, I also train students in community colleges. And listen, when you plan your lesson, you have an objective. So even if you give a practical, you already know what's going to be the outcome or the possible outcome of the lesson because you are the one guiding. So even when
Correct.
a doctor goes um, for internship and training, listen, people are teaching them. So it's only so much that's going to be learned. And whenever they are now in service on their own, there will still be cases, situation that they have not studied yet. However, they have common sense. and they have experience that they are going to use, but everything is not going to work all the time. Okay? So at the end of the day, okay, what we need to focus about now is that when the digestive tract is busy and is busy digesting and storing food for future uses, we call it anabolic phase. Anabolic. Okay, and so anabolic phase goes along with the catabolic phase, and the catabolic phase is when we are actually using what has been stored. So now, what I'm using those words, 'cause, I don't really like to use big words because some know sometimes that I have younger viewers, and I want everybody to be able to understand. So between, like, our digestion is a successive cycle of the anabolic phase and the catabolic phase. So now, if we are always busy in the anabolic phase, when are you using what is in storage? You know? So now, it is very important now to understand that if we have nutrient, so food in storage all the time, what happens after a while?
Well, I guess that storage it will go bad if you don't use it up by a certain time. It's going to cause problems.
Exactly. Because you could put food in the fridge and leave it there for too long and it will rot, right or wrong? So when
Correct.
you have food that remains there stored, nutrients stored in your body, and you're not using it, you don't have time because you always eating, you eat too much, you eat too often. What happens is gonna start rotting inside. And how do you know that is rotting inside? Because at the beginning of your journey, you have a lot of health and everything. You may not have much symptom right away, but over time, what do we notice? We're going to notice that rotten food always smell bad. Let me start by saying that, okay? Or sometime before it start to give out any scent, you're gonna see that the overall aspect is going to change. So when you start to have maybe an overload of toxins, because when it start rotting now, we're talking about toxins, you might realize, for example, that you have a rash somewhere on your body. It doesn't have to be on your face only, it could be any part of your body. Okay,
Okay.
so that's one. For some people, maybe their hair is sensitive. They might realize that, oh, strange, I'm losing, I have a patch somewhere. You gotta understand that there's an imbalance somewhere, and obviously your body is not able to attend to the imbalance because you have food rotting in there as well. Okay, and let's talk about the scent. There are some people early in the morning when they speak, well, at least for me, when they speak, you keep a nice smile because you don't want people to feel bad. Or even sometimes when people come to consult, you just put your head down. Why do you put your head down?
You're talking
Because you don't
about
want the bad,
halitosis.
exactly, or bad breath. So you don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, so you're not going to cover your nose. And we teach our children, don't do that. This is rude, right? So then if you just tilt your head, the direction of the air coming to your nostril is no longer directly, it's no longer in the same channel as the breath. So it will kind of cut it down. Now, we don't want to make the person feel bad, but if you would tell the person, brother, sister, how are you? Ask a question. There's always a way of bringing it forward. At least I always have a nice way of bringing it forward. Trust me. And it's not to diss anyone. Some people are going to experience halitosis. Some people they have issues with their sweat odor, body odor. So before they even properly start sweating, oh my goodness! And if you don't use the right roll-on, it's a problem. Or maybe they might find, a strong roll on to cut the scent, but they end up with all kind of inflammation in their armpit. Okay. And that is why we got to start thinking what's going on inside in the body, what is not working sufficiently. Okay. There are other, okay, something else I want to talk about beside the salty perspiration is that technically what's going to be affected is our channels of elimination. What are our channels of elimination? So we're gonna urinate besides sweating and everything, we're going to urinate. So when you go to the bathroom, either like the urine is going to sound like like you're shaking a bottle of soda. So you hear that okay, it's maybe too acid. But sometimes we don't have time to pay attention to that. Or before you flush, you're gonna realize that your urine has a strong scent. So that's also
not just an indication that you have to drink more, but it's an indication that maybe you're eating too much, or maybe you're not eating the right food. Okay. Another one is that you're going to notice also that the stool is going to smell terrible. And the warning before the stool is sometimes when people are passing some fat and everybody have to look around to find out what's going on, or you can't even stay in the room because it smells so bad. Listen, if it smells that bad when it comes out, inside is not good. So now, why am I being so obvious with those examples? There are more channels of elimination. What are they, Baba?
Well, our pores,
Yes, that would come to body odors.
that's we have urine,
Mhm.
right? We have also a bowel movement, which is I think what you were just talking about.
Yes.
Um, I think that is mostly everything. When we exhale, or whether it's through our mouth or our nose, that's about it.
No. We are also, we also eliminate through a different way. Okay. You're smiling because I'm sure you know where I'm going to with it. All right. So men and women, we have other way of eliminating when it comes to our, specific organs. All
Okay.
right. So we gotta understand that when we don't eat the right food, let me try to think about which word I'm going to use. Um, even okay, let me just say it like my son, because my older son was explaining my little son how to make babies, and so he was speaking about the super juice. So let's call it the super juice.
Okay.
So
Super
whenever
juice.
we super juice, that's what he was explaining. So the quality of that super juice during the exchange is, it's going both ways. All right. So whenever there is the imbalance inside, the body is probably too acid, or whatever. It's not healthy. So even in our usual practice, we have to be thinking about all of those things. That's why you will find women like me. If somebody talk to me with a big plate of food, you're talking going nowhere. If you don't eat well, it means that there's a whole lot of imbalance in your body, and this is not coming to mind. I have enough of my own imbalances to look after. So when we have loved ones, we have to encourage them. We do not encourage them to eat well and encourage them to make the necessary sacrifice to have a better life. Encouraging our loved one into overindulgence is only, we're not going to have them long enough. They will go early because their body won't be functioning. Okay, so all of those reasons are grown enough for us to consider, you know, um, what to eat, how to eat, and when to eat. So the best now is to eat when you're hungry, right or wrong?
Well, I've heard that. Yes.
Yes. Now, but I don't know for a man, but I could tell you for a woman. When a woman get upset, regardless of who make her upset, whether it is a situation, whether it is a heavy bill, whether it is that someone create a situation where they would be with the children, very often, if it's not right away, this woman is gonna go and eat something. So it might
Yeah,
be
but is
sweet.
that the best thing?
I don't know. I'm not saying that it's not the best thing. We're taking like a case right now. So if it is a woman, for example, who eats a lot of sweet, she might drink something, she might eat, and then out of the blue, you feel relaxed. And this happens so quickly that usually we won't have time to realize that we were not truly hungry. All right. So now I'm pointing to that particular example because there are two type of hunger. So we have the toxic hunger and we have true hunger. So whenever we would be upset, whenever we are processing like a bad emotion, we could be stressed out. Usually this is not true hunger, this is toxic hunger. So how do you know whether you are truly hungry or whether you have the toxic one? So the symptoms of toxic hunger, they will be like you just feel tired. You feel extremely tired and you feel like you're feeling weak, you know. The old lady will say, I'm feeling faintish, I'm feeling feverish, and you feel I just need to eat something. And then we come either with a soup, and you feel like because it's a soup, and because I don't have a bowl to show you, if you because it come in a little bowl, for it is nothing bad, it's just a little soup, and then you're gonna eat your lunch afterwards. But the soup have to be processed. Okay. Now, because I'm French, there was always this idea when probably they would give us soup in a French home versus of eating soup in a Caribbean home. In a French home, the soup is liquid. But
Okay.
one little thing floating in the soup. Never something heavy, or soup is usually light. And whenever they would have it with a little thickness in it, there's another word which I probably would think about later, but it's nothing compared to um, soup in the Caribbean concept. So when I tell my children I'm going to cook soup, they would ask me, which kind of soup? The granny soup or the French soup? Granny
Okay.
soup
Okay.
comes with
So
dumpling,
they speaking of a broth.
what we would call a broth. Okay, what we would call a broth. But in our culture now, we would stuff the soup with a lot of stuff. Meat, dumpling, some people put beans, some people put a lot of noodles, vegetables, etc., etc. Now we have to understand that the more variety of ingredient in the meal means that in the stomach, you have too many programs run at the same time to digest each and every element. So even if it's happening at the same time, if you're trying to digest carrot, sweet potatoes, dashing, yam, okra, it's a program for each. It's not the same program. Now, when you put the dumpling in it, because some people they will tell you they want the dumpling alone. I have one daughter like this. Just put the dumpling alone, so I don't put many dumpling on purpose. The dumpling comes with flour. What type of flour? So you have to look at every ingredient and understand that the body have to run several programs at the same time. So it's only normal for us to be tired after a heavy meal or if we have too many ingredients in the meal. Think about the gravy as well. What do we put in the gravy? So all of those stuff make us always digesting for one. By the time we finish digest, we are back into a cycle of eating. And so we are not as productive as we could be. And now think about it. We are in the Caribbean. Why? We are in the Caribbean because we had ancestors who were very healthy, who could work for a long time without being exhausted, who could still produce when they were exhausted. Nowadays, whether man or woman, once they start to sweat, oh, I got a pain, I got a knee, I got an ankle, I got a everything. But we don't have that kind of vitality anymore because we no longer eat the same way. And so this is why I really wanted us to start the year with this introspection where we would look at, okay, what we eat, how do we do it? And is it for pleasure or is it for productivity? So there is this awakening everywhere globally, especially since Floyd, where we want to be black and great once again. So this have to start by what we put in our plate. So I wrote a quotation from Ellen G. White, this one, and she says our bodies are built up from the food we eat. Okay, so if you eat with nutrition, you know that you're going to have a better body, you're going to have more energy, everything is going to function a whole lot more. Your breath is not going to be negative. When you'll be able to to raise your armpit without having to feel concerned that anybody around you is going to be bothered, etc. You're going to be able to take out your shoes and people don't have to run. Have you ever been in that situation when somebody take out their shoes and their socks? You're like, wondering. And people just say, okay, I sweated. I just sweat. It was just sweat. But think about it. If your sweat is producing such a bad scent, you have to address it at the root. It's not a matter of powder or cream or anything. Address it at the root. Because if the root was properly taken care of, it would not smell bad. We were created to function properly and without mistakes.
So
Whenever something
is that a sign that something might is about to go wrong normally?
I don't know. Once it's already smelling, it's already wrong somewhere. We may not see, but it's already wrong.
Okay,
You
but I
know?
wanted I want to ask a question on something that you mentioned earlier, right?
Sure.
You mentioned the overindulgence, and I want to know if um, people who normally have like dropsy right after they eat. Now I know dropsy is the
You're
wrong
right.
term, but that's what we just use in the Caribbean. The other word we just use is not a pleasant word. Is not
Exactly.
is the N word. So we don't want to talk that one. So I will just
Okay.
call it dropsy for the sake of that. But it's not really
All
dropsy. Dropsy is actually another sickness. But
right.
when a person finds themselves being very sleepy after a meal, what is
Yes.
really the cause of that taking place?
Usually the digestive fire is already weak. You know, if you have a stove, your stove is brand new. Once you light the fire and you cook, everything is going to run smooth. If you have it for a few years, and eventually you probably need to change it, you're going to realize that it takes you longer to cook your food, even if it's still on, but it doesn't work as well as when you just had it. So when your digestive fire is weak and you have 2 million programs running at the same time, and probably food left over from breakfast, from supper, and from the snack, and from the beer, and from the soda, still lingering in the stomach, it is too much. So therefore, it is not that the body is going to have to take energy from somewhere else to be able to try to cope with what's going on in your stomach. So therefore, you're gonna feel sleepy. It's totally normal.
Okay, so then that is the cause of having the itis.
Yes,
All right,
yes.
okay.
But it's not a tradition. We take it for a joke and like, man, that's normal. But it's not good. It's really not good. We are destroying ourselves. All right. So, and eating low nutrient food is gonna create toxic hunger. So we're going back again, like toxic hunger, you're gonna have a headache, you're gonna feel tired. Eventually, sometimes you're gonna have nausea, you're gonna feel weak. This one there is the best. I feel weak, I need to eat. Right or wrong?
That's what most people say, yes.
Exactly. You may feel very upset, ongoing, like, oh man, I cannot think, I really need to eat. Unless I eat, I can't, I can't think clearly, I have to eat. Okay, this is toxic hunger. This is not real hunger.
Okay, so
Okay.
then could that be confused for hypoglycemia?
Not always, because some people really have it as a condition. Okay, some people have it as a condition. It's just that whenever we feel those symptoms, we need to take a break and really think. Usually we don't want to think because we want to take care of the problem right away. This is the society in which we live, popcorn society. Now for now, you know.
All right.
Um, if your stomach is hurting you, you are not hungry. Do you know why?
Well, I guess it.
Digestion digestion doesn't start in the stomach. She will tell you, oh mommy, my stomach is hurting me, especially like 4 o'clock when they come out from school. I'm hungry, mommy, my stomach is hurting me. Digestion doesn't start in the stomach. It starts right here. So you would tell me I'm not feeling too well, my throat is bothering me. Maybe you feel like there is a change in your saliva, your body is calling for food,
Okay.
you know. This sensation, so the sensation is going to be where the digestion starts. So it's going to be more within your mouth and your throat, but definitely not in the stomach or the head. Okay, usually the stomach and the head usually is that we probably have too much of low nutrition going on in the body, and so the byproduct is going to cause irritation, irritability, and so we're gonna have those symptoms in the mind and those symptoms in the stomach. And what happened is that because it's a cycle, all those food produce food addiction. And this is why this afternoon I'm speaking about breaking our food addiction. When our body become too acclimated to a toxic agent, it's called an addiction. So meaning that it's not good for you and you're trying your best to stay away from it and you realize you're sick, you have fever, you can't think, your body is craving, your body is calling for it. But to break free from the addiction, what do we have to do? We have to overcome. And so we need to really work on our willpower. So working on this, we have to understand that if we don't eat it, the body is going to look for it anyhow. Because some of us, we're going to try our best. Okay, I'm going to fast for a couple of hours, but the body can no longer do without it. And so you're going to feel all manners of way. That's when you find some sisters, they're praying, they do, they go and dance, they find something to do for them to resist the temptation to go and eat that food that they know is wrong for them.
All right.
However, wait, however, if you have a lot of that food stored up somewhere in your body is gonna go and look for it where it is stored. So this is why when we spend, when we fast, when we take a break from eating, the word fast sometimes comes with a lot of negative connotation. So let's say when we take a break from eating, the first, second, and the third day usually is difficult. It's challenging. It's a challenging time because we feel different. It's normal because you are changing your biochemistry inside, so it's normal to feel different. So I would not advise people to decide that they're gonna start fasting, dieting, detoxing on a Monday, and you have to go to work. Mm-mm.
All right. Doc, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Because there seems to be a tie-in when we talk about endorphins and the production of endorphins from eating sweet foods and that sort of a thing. There have always been an association to certain amino acid deficiency that brings on the craving for certain things such as sugars. Right? Could some of these forms of hunger be an indication that the body might be needing a particular thing?
But definitely, we have so many charts available everywhere. When you know, okay, if you crave chocolate, maybe you don't really need chocolate. Maybe you need something else. Use almond instead. Okay, if you crave substantial, drink water or drink this. So there's always like an alternative in order to help us to reduce the cravings. Ultimately, for some who cannot reduce it at all, they call and they say, I need something to block my cravings. Okay, but you have to understand that um, I developed a spray a few months ago for a lady who couldn't help herself. And so when she would spray it on her tongue, it would numb the tongue. So I try it on all the children. I give them a tablespoon of sugar, and they said they could taste the sugar. It is still okay, it is still normal. Then I spray their tongue and I give them back another tablespoon of sugar. And one of them, start to speak and say, I don't know what you did to the sugar, but it's not the same sugar. So she started to look for, it was the same sugar, but the sugar had no taste. And without taste, they didn't like it, you know? Um, and there was one who was upset. After that, I wanted to pay to test how long it would really work. So I went and I got them McDonald's. I gave them each a meal of McDonald's. And they were very frustrated because there was no pleasure. They ate the burgers, the nuggets, the fries, but there was no pleasure in eating it because there was no taste. But they
Okay,
ate it anyhow.
so then that leads me to another curious question. Sometimes when a person is not well
Mhm.
and they have internal fever, sometimes when you try to eat, the food tastes like grass. It's plain, it's coarse, it's unpleasant, and it's not encouraging to eat. Is that the
Mhm.
body's way of saying, listen, you need to stop eating?
Exactly. Do not eat. Because if the body is already like that, you already have an internal fever, the body is not able to go and process heavy food. Maybe when you eat it, it has no taste. Your body is probably telling you, I'm not gonna be able to digest this. Have something else or don't have anything. Allow your body to heal because the body indeed is designed to heal. So when you're gonna hear physicians say you don't need to detox, the body is going to detox itself. But when? So you eat, you finish digesting, and then you eat again. All right. So when is the body really going to get that chance to detox itself? So I would like to invite you to play this video.
Sure.
Um,
Which
the
one?
first,
You want the video on digestion or the second one?
the first one on
Okay,
digestion. Yes.
no problem.
average between 1 and 2.7 kilograms of food a day. That's over 365 kilograms a year per person, and more than 28,800 kilograms over the course of a lifetime. And every last scrap makes its way through the digestive system. Comprised of 10 organs, covering 9 meters, and containing over 20 specialized cell types, this is one of the most diverse and complicated systems in the human body. Its parts continuously work in unison to fulfill a singular task, transforming the raw materials of your food into the nutrients and energy that keep you alive. Spanning the entire length of your torso, the digestive system has four main components. First, there's the gastrointestinal tract, a twisting channel that transports your food and has an internal surface area of between 30 and 40 square meters, enough to cover half a badminton court. Second, there's the pancreas, gallbladder, and liver, a trio of organs that break down food using an array of special juices. Third, the body's enzymes, hormones, nerves, and blood all work together to break down food, modulate the digestive process, and deliver its final products. Finally, there's the mesentery, a large stretch of tissue that supports and positions all your digestive organs in the abdomen, enabling them to do their jobs. The digestive process begins before food even hits your tongue. Anticipating a tasty morsel, glands in your mouth start to pump out saliva. We produce about 1.5 liters of this liquid each day. Once inside your mouth, chewing combines with the sloshing saliva to turn food into a moist lump called the bolus. Enzymes present in the saliva break down any starch. Then your food finds itself at the rim of a 25-centimeter long tube called the esophagus, down which it must plunge to reach the stomach. Nerves in the surrounding esophageal tissue sense the bolus's presence and trigger peristalsis, a series of defined muscular contractions. That propels the food into the stomach, where it's left at the mercy of the muscular stomach walls, which pound the bolus, breaking it into chunks. Hormones secreted by cells in the lining trigger the release of acids and enzyme rich juices from the stomach wall that start to dissolve the food and break down its proteins. These hormones also alert the pancreas, liver, and gallbladder to produce digestive juices and transfer bile, a yellowish green liquid that digests fat, in preparation for the next stage. After 3 hours inside the stomach, the once shapely bolus is now a frothy liquid called chyme, and it's ready to move into the small intestine. The liver sends bile to the gallbladder, which secretes it into the first portion of the small intestine, called the duodenum. Here, it dissolves the fats floating in the slurry of chyme so they can be easily digested by the pancreatic and intestinal juices that have leached onto the scene. These enzyme rich juices break the fat molecules down into fatty acids and glycerol for easier absorption into the body. The enzymes also carry out the final deconstruction of proteins into amino acids and carbohydrates into glucose. This happens in the small intestine's lower regions, the jejunum and ileum, which are coated in millions of tiny projections called villi. These create a huge surface area to maximize molecule absorption and transference into the bloodstream. The blood takes them on the final leg of their journey to feed the body's organs and tissues. But it's not over quite yet. Leftover fiber, water, and dead cells sloughed off during digestion make it into the large intestine, also known as the colon. The body drains out most of the remaining fluid through the intestinal wall. What's left is a soft mass called stool. The colon squeezes this byproduct into a pouch called the rectum, where nerves sense it expanding and tell the body when it's time to expel the waste. The byproducts of digestion exit through the anus, and the food's long journey, typically lasting between 30 and 40 hours, is finally complete. TED-Ed is a nonprofit. If you value our
Okay,
work,
we can
please
touch it
consider
here.
supporting it on patreon.com/TEDEd.
All right, so in this video, we see that what we eat within one day amounts for nearly 3.5 to 4 kilos in your body. So, and we drink maybe 1 liter to 2 liters per day. right or wrong? Some people
Right.
don't drink enough at all. So now, if we were to never eliminate, never digest what we eat, can you imagine how much would remain in the body every day within 1 year? And how long can you live with all of these uh, indulgence, all of this extra in your body? How long do you think you can live? So yes, some of us are comfortable working with weight on our body, but the point is that we are not functioning at our best potential. And what we could want at any given time, and I don't have anything against people who are a little on the plump side. I'm sure you could see that I'm not thin as well. I'm really thick, So it's nothing. I'm not targeting people who are maybe like a little overweight. But really, we should make it a concern whenever we think about, being great, being better person. Some of us sometimes we preach a lot about discrimination. And so before we think about all those things, let us think really about what we do to ourselves every time we open our mouth to eat. It's not even about when you open your mouth to speak. When you open your mouth to eat, try your best to put the right food in your body so that everything else, will be in alignment. Whenever a situation comes, you'd be able to breathe. Think with a clear mind before you raise your hand sometime and get in trouble later. Okay. Maybe you might be able to work more. Maybe you might be able to work faster and spend more time home. Maybe when you get home, you'll be able to have more interaction with your family members, run around with your children. And my children tell me, Mommy, when are we going to exercise again? I'm like, tired, you're tired, and we feel upset because people don't understand that we are tired. But we eat. We keep on eating. So therefore, to get back to what we were speaking about last week, eating one meal a day sounds like a great deal. Because if you have one main meal per day, you have time to digest. Well, we spoke about 30 to 40 square meters or digestive tube. That's a long journey, That there are some people who cannot even walk 30 to 40 square meters without feeling tired. So if you're feeling tired walking that distance, tell yourself that your body is going to get tired before the end of the process. So what happened when the body is tired before the end of the process? So there was this word used, the peristalsis, when the nerves contract to be able to propel the food down. When your body is tired, it's not contracted and it's not contracting enough. So it means that it's not digesting properly. Some are remaining right here in the arteries. It's sticking, right? It's sticking in the body, especially if we don't, we eat poor nutrition, poor nutrient food, a lot of cheese, for example, animal fat. We're gonna get to that into the second video. And so we don't end up having the best digestion. Furthermore,
Well,
when we are tired,
I do know of one thing that definitely induces peristaltis action in the body, and that is CMOS.
yes, yes, definitely. I'll use my example. Um, for let's say about 18 months or so, I had severe issues moving about. If you look back at the videos like we had last year, you feel that my face was at least like twice the size as it is now. And in order to help my body with peristalsis and also, my joint and everything else, I had to just agree to use a whole lot more CMOS. I had issues, chewing food. So using CMOS was the best because I didn't have to chew, you just, swallow. So CMOS is really a great addition to our diet. And, it's a trend everywhere nowadays, and we have it in the Caribbean. So let us use more CMOS than noodles, for example. It's about the same cost. Let us use a stimulus instead. Okay, because this is a natural food, it's a superfood. All right. Also, I wanted to talk about the enzyme and the acid in the stomach. So, whenever everything has finally made it in your stomach, if you are in good shape and your body is working in an optimal way, then you are going to produce sufficient enzyme and sufficient acid to take it to the second part of the digestion. What if it's not the case? So once again, the food is not breaking down properly. So you are going to store more food into, where, you're going to realize that you have growths coming out everywhere because it has to be stored. Okay. And also the time to expel. Many of us are not able to go to the bathroom whenever we feel like we need to go because of work, because of shift, because of this, whatever the case may be. So whenever the body is telling you it's time to go and you keep it in, what happens? So more is going to come in there and add up to the colon, okay, to the rectum, let's say. And when finally it's going to be time to go again, your body has a programming for a certain amount of energy to push it out. So you're going to push out what your body's programmed to get rid of. But what was there, sometimes it's already starting to harden. So it is staying in the colon and it's causing decay to start producing in the colon. All right. So yes, some people are going to take a purge, a traditional purge. I need a purge. And we feel like when we go and everything just come out flushing out, we did something good for our body. We'll talk about that other topic some other time. Okay? It's not
Yeah.
about trying to get a quick fix. It's about respecting the body and doing what is right technically. So let's talk about some steps that we can take to maximize our health. So we said, do not eat when you are not hungry. When you think that you are hungry, think twice. Ask yourself, okay, what am I feeling truly? So you could address it. If you're going to choose to eat a snack, make sure that it is true anger and not toxic anger. All right. And remember that if you're having a snack, you should probably eat less at your next meal. Bearing in mind that the snack is also taking time, energy from your body to be digested. Number three, do not overeat. So do not wait until you feel full to stop eating. If you feel full, it means that, like everything, like there's no more space left in the body. So then you're going to experience this stage that we were talking about, just for me not to use the N word anymore. Do not eat a big dinner because remember that what's happening at night is we go to sleep. Your body goes to rest. If the dinner is too heavy, your body is in a sleep mode. So digestion is going to process, but the digestion at night is not as strong as a digestion during daytime. So your dinner should be light. Okay. Meaning, for example, some people leave home very early, so they probably don't have time to sit down and have a proper breakfast. So they want to really eat something heavy when they get back from work, because maybe that might be the main meal of the day. So we have to reorganize the way we eat and strategize when we are going to eat, how we eat, so that it could be eating all of those beautiful meals, traditional stuff that we have, but eat it in a way that favors us, not a way that diminish, reduce our life and our health. After you had your dinner, do not eat again. So we don't watch TV and snack. We avoid that. When you're watching TV, for example, your body is already like your body is not moving, but your body is active. Your mind is what's processing what it is watching. Your ears understanding. So it's already nighttime. You already had your dinner. Your body like this snack is going to remain right here and is going to go into storage mode. Discontinue, or let's say win off coffee. I'm saying win off because myself it's hard to get rid of coffee, but you got to win it off. How do I win off from coffee? Um, when I get the coffee, I roast and grind some herbs. That's another class we will say. And so I mix it 50-50. So for example, instead of using one box of coffee over 1 month, maybe it's gonna last me 3 months because there's so much of herb. And so you get that little boost that you want from the coffee, but gradually you replace it by using something else so that you win off. Because sometimes it's very difficult to cut yourself off completely from something your body is addicted to. And especially if it is something that makes you feel good, like drinking my cup of coffee. Listen, let me just show you. This is my glass of water. When I drink coffee, I drink that amount of coffee. When my children want to bring me coffee in a conventional cup, I watch them like, this is an insult. This is not coffee. Like if I don't have that amount, I don't feel like I've just, because this is
You're
an
just
addiction.
warming up right there.
I'm like, I would watch them. Like that's the same way when they bring me like tea to drink and the tea is almost clear like the water. They bring it for me and they laugh. because they know, like, if I wanted water, I would ask you for water. If I ask for tea, let me see that, I'm drinking tea and I want to smell the herbs as well. So this is being said, when you're gonna push a tea bag, you may want to use more than one tea bag. I don't really promote tea bags anymore. But if you're going to use a tea bag, maybe you may need to put a little more than one to know that you're drinking tea and not flavored water.
All right, yeah, there are two things. I don't know if it's on your list, right? But mastication, the proper chewing of your food,
Sure.
and then the other thing is a lot of people mixed liquids while they eating a meal,
And
which
they
is
should not do
something that
that
should not be done. Yes.
at all. If you look especially at the Asian, they're not going to drink anything cold at all while they eat. On the table, they are going to have the tea and the cups, and you drink something hot. But you don't drink and eat at the same time. If you do so, what happens is that your body is not going to produce enough enzyme, or it's going to be too diluted. So therefore, at the end of the day, the food doesn't break down properly. It's like you eating food, but you're putting everything into storage. It's not gonna be properly digested. Okay. So of course, beside the coffee, we gotta reduce our salt intake, reduce the alcoholic intake, reduce sweets, butter, cheese, processed food, soft drink, etc. And we have to reduce smoking. Many people might not like to hear it. We have to reduce smoking because it's also affecting the lungs and it's affecting everything in the tract. So it's not good for the body. Some people smoke for different reasons, which I respect. But everything has to be done in a balanced way, no excess. You got to give your body time to digest between meals. That's the most important you know. So if you need to eat this heavy soup with all the dashing, the dumpling, and everything, have one meal a day and have it every day. Why not? Well, one meal a day, you know. And it's not favorable to be constantly eating and digesting food. Remember that. Then you never really get a proper rest. So over time, your digestive fire is reduced, and you need boosters to be able to digest properly. Whenever your digestive fire is weak, you end up developing all kind of disease in your digestive tract. This is probably one of the worst things to experience. Okay, because it means that you're gonna have a lot of health imbalance if you cannot heal your body by the things you eat and drink. Try to try to put your body on a regular schedule. So let's say if your body knows that every day around 9 a.m. you're gonna get food, naturally you're gonna start feeling hungry at 9 a.m. But also, if your body know that you're not gonna eat again until, I don't know, 3 p.m. in the afternoon, you have enough time. And when your body is on schedule, your body function better. So that now brings us into like the whole trend that people call intermittent fasting. Because if you put your body on schedule, you know that you eat during such and such amount of time, or you eat at a regular time. This is giving your body discipline, and this is helping your body to to function a whole lot better. All right. So true, you're gonna feel a little poorly at first. That's normal because that's the effect of withdrawal. We talk about emotional instability, fatigue, migraines. We've spoken about those, but this usually would last more or less 4 days. But I want to say it would last more or less 4 days when you are not in huge excess. So if, for example, you were in 400 pounds, it's going to take you more than 4 days to be able to break through this first phase of emotional instability. Um, how should we sculpt our future nutrition wise? We can look at the second video now, where we are going to listen to at least 5 food that we should definitely try our best to eliminate from our diet.
Number one
So
is sugar.
sugar is one of the first 5 elements in whatever it is you're buying. It's a no-no.
It's a no-no. You want to avoid it.
Okay.
Couldn't find sugar.
Okay.
Now, sugar's supposed to be eaten, of course, but it should come together with either fat or some element like fiber, as you would find in fruit, so you can absorb it a bit more slowly. So
Okay.
number one
So
is
if
sugar.
sugar is one of the first 5 elements in whatever it is you're buying, it's a no-no.
So no, you want to avoid it.
Okay.
Now, even worse than sugar
Even worse than sugar.
is this. Look how appetizing that is.
And that is,
This is high fructose corn syrup.
oh, that's what it is.
Now, it's very sweet,
Yeah,
but it's not very good for you
it's not good for you.
because it blocks the ability of a chemical called leptin, which is the way your fat tells
Tells
your
your brain,
it's
I'm
there.
full.
Exactly.
I'm full. Okay.
So you don't
So
want to
this
have
is the thing that's blocking it, and so you just keep eating and eating until you're literally stuffed.
Right. It's not so much even the 150 calories in a soda pop. It's
Yeah.
the fact that at that same meal, you will normally consume an extra 100 calories of food than you would have
Because of this.
because of this.
Okay. High fructose corn syrup. Okay, got that.
These are both carbohydrates.
Yes.
The third carbohydrate is this.
Yes.
This is
White
flour,
flour,
but
yeah.
it's enriched white flour.
Enriched white
Now,
flour.
why would they enrich flour? The reason they enrich it is because they already stripped out anything that was worth a darn in it, and they add a little bit back so it doesn't look so bad.
Yes.
It should be whole grain.
Okay.
The way it has its kernels, it has its B vitamins, all the things you want it to be in there.
Whole grain's hip. It's in.
It's in.
Okay. Yeah.
So these three are carbohydrates.
Yes.
Now let's move on down to the fun
Okay.
stuff.
Okay.
Now, big confusion about fats.
Yeah. Big.
This is animal fat.
Yes.
Animal fat is saturated.
Saturated fat is from 4-legged animals.
Exactly.
Good.
If it's coming from a 4-legged animal, it's saturated. So that means that these things can be solid at room temperature.
Okay. Lard. Think
Lard.
lard.
Bingo.
Saturated. Think lard.
Now, good oils
Good oils.
are liquids at room temperature.
I'm repeating, so I'm putting it in my brain. You know. Okay.
Now, the thing about good oils is that they're not very stable. If you put a good oil into a cracker and try to store it on a shelf, it goes bad because good oils aren't very stable. So in order to deal with that problem, we took the good, healthy vegetable oils and we hydrogenated them. We added hydrogens to them.
Okay. Tell me that again.
We took good, healthy oils, and in order to make them solid and make them so they wouldn't go bad in a year on a shelf somewhere, we added hydrogen to them.
Hydrogens.
Right. Hydrogen makes those flimsy things become rigid.
And that's what'll make it stay on the shelf for a year.
Well, it makes it solid at room temperature and solid on a shelf for a year.
Okay.
And that's this.
Ah.
Now, this should be liquid. It's obviously not. Oh, this is very good for your skin. And you can actually use this kind of material for furniture polish, lots of fun things.
Yeah.
But don't put it in you.
I can use it on my feet. Some dry feet. Good. I'm thinking this is a great moisturizer
It
for the
is.
bottom of my heels. This is nice. Yeah. Okay. And this is what? What is this, lard?
No, this is actually hydrogenated oil.
Okay.
It's material that is created so that you can keep that stored material on the shelf for a long time. Here's the big deal. When you have healthy oils and you cook with them, you oxidize them, you damage them. So the key thing to know about the healthy oils.
And what are the healthy oils?
Olive oil, sesame seed oil.
All the ones that are liquid when they're
flaxseed oil.
When they're cold.
Okay. Some are better than others, but generally the ones I just listed, canola oil, flaxseed oil, olive oil, these are all very healthy oils. But because they're healthy, they're very delicate.
Yes.
So you have to store them in a refrigerator or at least cover them so they stay dark. Otherwise, they will oxidize, they will go bad on you.
Oh, really?
So this stuff is great because it doesn't go bad, but it's very bad for you.
Okay.
So the healthy oils, if you learn how to use them, take you a long way.
Put some on my heels. And this is in a lot of things. This is the hydrogenated oil, correct?
Yes, this is hydrogenated to make it solid.
Okay.
But the word that you will see in the package is a trans fat because these hydrogens bring these molecules together and we call them trans fats.
So I don't want the thing to say hydrogenated, and I don't want it to say trans fat, and I don't want it to say saturated.
Exactly. You just hit the nail on the head.
Okay. All right. So we had, the list of what we should avoid eating. And I like that video because especially they spoke about eating bread. Bread is something that we're going to eat very often, bread and something for sandwich in school. And it's funny enough because in French school, especially when we have like the very French teachers, they would be against many things we would give the children to eat, but they would say, no, give the children bread and even if you put some jam. And I'm always amazed when I hear a teacher say, give the children bread and jam. Because very often the jam, especially like what we would have here, if it's not like a traditional something like homemade, contains no fruit at all, pure chemicals. And you're eating that on bread. So, and you're eating bread from, I'm hearing noise in the background, and we're eating bread from enriched flour. So technically, this is totally dead. It's not healthy. All right. If we're going to eat bread, definitely we should eat something whole grain. You realize that when it's whole grain, you're gonna eat a whole lot less. Keep in mind what we learned from what was it? What was the brother's name? Mohammed, from the book that we read last week.
Elijah Muhammad.
Elijah Mohammed. Try to avoid eating the bread when it is steaming hot. Okay, when it is steaming hot, the yeast is still active, and so you're putting it into your body while it is still active, meaning that in your stomach, it's gonna be swelling. It is better to wait when the bread is cold, definitely. And well, I'm concluding. Okay, remember the trans fat. So that was something I felt like that was very important as well. I know that sometimes people want to cook with olive oil. What happened to olive oil whenever it is cold? At least the
Uh,
one we find in
actually,
the supermarket.
actually, olive oil is best used when it's cold because when you heat it up,
Yes,
you destroy the
exactly.
properties of the oil.
And then it becomes solid. That's why we shouldn't cook with it. When it's cold, it's all right. Okay. So and that's something like we would say don't cook with olive oil. Why can I cook with olive oil? It's natural oil, it is good. And then you go and you cook with it. All right. So, but when I think about it, is that whenever it is transformed, look at this beautiful trans fat cream that we had on the screen. This is exactly what remain in your body, and that is cannot be digested. So therefore, this goes straight into storage. Okay, what do we find? In which food do we find the trans fat? Biscuits, crackers, you know, uh, many. Just think about it. A lot of processed food. I mean, in the Caribbean, we don't really eat processed food. Um, I had some friends over during the vacation and I watched the way they were shopping and they were like, okay, I'm gonna shop for everybody. Yeah, when you see someone come from the mainland and they want to shop, pay attention that they're going straight to the can department or to the frozen department. If you're gonna buy food from the frozen from the freezer to just microwave, or maybe you put it in the oven and so on. Listen, this contains a lot of trans fat. So for all the other mothers also who listen, it's not that it's not okay to give your child a little cracker once now and then, but think about it, the trans fat, okay? And we want children to be healthy. We want them to outlive us. So we should try our best to give them the best food so that they could have, the energy, a better energy than we had.
All right, yeah, we should be closing off soon.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's, what I wanted to finish with. Say, okay, at least keep those five in mind. And if you make the effort to eat on time and to remove those five ingredients, try to, you will definitely take it a step further into being healthy.
Okay, so to all the viewers, thanks for staying with us. Remember to like, subscribe, and share our live stream. And we would see you at our next show. So, Odabo.
Or double.